Greetings, Ashen here. Today I'm going to be talking to you about the indie comic title, Neotherics. This was a request, and I am trying to help out the indie comics community, so I'm giving a blunt and honest review. So if you are interested in this, I will be posting a link in the description where you can get to this comic book. And if not, then hey, just check out my review as an oddity. So anyway, here we go. The story is really about dinosaurs that crash land on Earth in a spaceship. These aren't any normal dinosaurs from back in the day, though. These can talk, and it leads to some interesting situations as they wish to reclaim the Earth as their home. Now, there's a lot more story here, but for the sake of this review, I'm not going to be spoiling too much. I'm going to be talking to you about the comic overall, but it is quite an interesting concept. There are a number of characters. Not all of them are named, but there is a kid whose father gets eaten, and there is an ex military mailman. There's the child's mom, and of course, a slew of sentient dinosaurs. There is other characters too that are unearthly besides just the dinosaurs. Like, where did the dinosaurs come from? Well, a godlike character is one of the players in this story, and working under him are two large headed, sort of bizarre looking minions that are twins. And so that all ties into the story with the dinosaurs and adventures that kind of sprout from there. That being said, I'm going to kind of be quiet about that for now and actually talk to you about some other aspects of the comic book. So, to start off with, there are two artists. There's a definite switch in this book. The first artist has this really cool way of drawing characters, and I actually prefer it over the second artist. The real problem with him, though, is that in the first half, or well, I wouldn't say the first half of the book, it's like there are probably about 4 issues worth of content, and probably halfway through the second issue the artist changeover happened, so it was pretty abrupt. But his huge issue was that he hardly ever drew backgrounds, and it was kind of off-putting. At first you might be able to let it go a little bit, and he actually had a little more detail, but then as the story progressed it was very evident that the backgrounds were just missing. I don't know if it was just their style or laziness, but it was noticeable. And then we get into the second artist, and it was jarring having the second artist take over. The character designs were more kind of standard, what you would expect, as opposed to like the interesting, niftily detailed characters of the first artist. But the overall world really filled out. The artist focused on the backgrounds and did a great job on the action and everything like that. So I can see why they switched out. Rather, it was out of necessity or not, I'm not certain. But it is something that was needed for the rest of the story. What can you say? Even Marvel and DC will switch out artists halfway through an issue anymore. So you'll be reading, and then all of a sudden it'll be like, what the hell happened to the quality, you know? And then that's because backup artist number 2 took over. I really like the characters in this story, but some of the problems also lie in the fact that the characters aren't given much time to be characterized. In this story, you think that the child having his father eaten and having to get used to these dinosaurs that are what caused him to be a victim in the first place, you think there would be some kind of a weird building relationship or something between them, and in some ways there are, but honestly throughout the story it feels more like attitudes of both the characters and the dinosaurs might change in order to forward the story rather than feeling sort of like a natural progression. I can understand wanting to get your story going and get to the next part and put some action out there, and there is a lot of awesome dinosaur versus military action in this book. So if you're looking for that kind of stuff, this book really does have it in spades. But I would have liked to have seen more natural character development and seen these characters kind of grow closer together, maybe develop mutual interest for each other in a way that felt, uh, I don't know, a little better paced. That's really all I can say about that. Speaking of the action, the one thing that did go over very well was the building, the progression of action throughout the story, and the dinosaurs getting into complicated situations where they have to fight military units and stuff like that. I thought that was pretty cool, and it was a building storm, so I thought that was very well paced. I do wish that the action was more violent, though. There is a lot of swearing and vulgar language in this story, and I'm perfectly fine with that. I'm not going to judge it for that. But the story itself, when you get into the action and the dinosaurs versus military and whatnot, it would have been awesome to see the dinosaurs do extremely violent things. For instance, there's a sequence where the dinosaur pulls out a giant chainsaw and nobody is cut to ribbons. I mean, what a wasted opportunity. There is a sequence towards the end of the book that is very gory, but it is just one, and I kind of wish the whole story from beginning to end would have had that over the top violence to match the crude language. So I don't know, I feel like that would have been a better combo for each other. The one thing I know about artists, though, is a lot of them are very shy about doing anything too over the top. It took me forever to find my own artist for my own comic book because the contents of my story was so extreme, no artist wanted to take it on hand. So I can understand that, but I really do think that some over the top violence, something like Lobo, you look at that in Infinicide or whatever it was called, where he has to kill all his own children or whatever. Those old 90s Lobo comics were full of over the top violence, and I really think it would have been befitting of this story to have that. The last thing I'm going to talk about is the ending of the story. Now, I didn't hate it. Personally, I didn't hate it, but I just want to put a little bit of a warning out there. It was very Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy esque, so there is some abrupt stuff that happens at the end. I can see it kind of being divisive to the readers. If you're into that sort of thing, then you'll probably enjoy it, much like I did. But if you're the type of person who is used to just normal comics, then it may hit you a little bit, and either you will or won't like it. It's hard to tell. It will probably be a very polarizing ending. All right. Well, that's really all I have to say about the comic book. If you want to check it out, once again, I've shown you some art and I've talked about it. The link is in the description. I hope you help support indie creators, even if it is not this one. Just go out there and help people. We are in a kind of a tough time as a nation right now, the whole world, actually. And whatever you can do for people, of course, look out for yourself and your family first. But if you wish to support indie press, this is just a small comic developer. I know they would really appreciate your business. Go check them out. And, come back here and let me know what you think if you read through the comic. Well, I appreciate you all, and I all hope you have a great evening. Yes.